Welcome to I Am Samson podcast. My name is Jeremy Bradley, Marine Corps veteran, and happy Easter. Just wanted to say happy Easter and thank y'all for watching this podcast. Thank y'all for being on this morning and just giving me some likes and shares and follows, subscriptions. Please share this with all of your friends and families and just help me get this podcast out there so it can reach more veterans and help more veterans. There's a lot of veterans out there struggling. I think today I wanted to talk about how veterans get stuck. We get stuck in war. We get stuck in our past traumas. We get stuck in not even war, but actually just being in the service. How we act, how we joke around, how we treat people, because we can't treat civilians the same way as we treat veterans. They're not going to understand. They're not going to know our sense of humor and our dark humor. They're just not going to know that kind of stuff. And I think that's why civilians really don't understand why veterans come home and just are completely different, 100% different than what they left home. When they signed that dotted line and they left home to join, they were, I guess, for me, more together, not so mentally unstable. But the mind is a lot more powerful than we think. So, leaving home as a kid, we don't have those kind of troubles. We don't have that kind of. We haven't seen action, and we haven't seen that trauma that we're going to go through, and nobody can predict what kind of trauma or war or what's going to happen to us. Even in, I guess, real life, civilian life, you really don't know what kind of trauma you're going to go through. And I'm not trying to demeanor anybody's trauma or say anyone's trauma is less than veterans' trauma. It's just those two traumas are different. So civilians can have PTSD and have that struggle as well. I just don't think it's as bad as veterans get it, because we see some stuff that nobody should ever see in their life. Just for example, one of my flashbacks and one of my memories that I used to struggle with. I still struggle with it every now and then, but for the most part, I can calm myself down and get unstuck from that flashback, from that point in my life that was just horrific. Well, in Afghanistan, we were behind the wall. I have a picture of it. Actually, I have two pictures. We're behind a wall. There's an open field with they call them wadis, but it's kind of like a river flowing through. And there's a building over here, building to our left. The bazaar lines down through the right, and we're on this wall. And the bazaar also kind of is off of the wall. So a bazaar is kind of like a mall, an outdoor mall, kind of like Fire Wheel. Yeah, but just think of it as mud walls and garage doors, and that's it. It's not fancy. It's just mud walls, garage doors on the front. I think some of them might have been concrete. Yeah, I think. Actually, I think they were made of concrete because I have a picture of that as well. But we were behind the wall, and the bazaar goes this way, and then the bazaar goes down probably another good 2 miles, and the streets over there, the open field behind the bazaar, and where we're looking at, uh, the enemy, Taliban, was shooting at us. We were shooting back. They were trying to flank us on our left, so we moved to our left because we had that wall to protect us from that way. So we moved, got down low for the wall to protect us. They started flanking. We were shooting that way. Well, we had guys on top of the bazaar shooting down on them as well, and they had logs, shoulder-propelled rockets, and let's just say one of those logs hit them, and we hit them with our 5.56 rounds, and we just tore them to pieces. You can see parts just laying all over the place. And I didn't go, but a couple of guys, I can picture the building, and I can picture the blood that they saw. But one of the guys that was over here trying to flank us, he got hit, and the way that they described it to us is you can see the blood trail running, going away from the building because they were dragging their buddy away. I didn't see it, but I can. That's how intense and how powerful your brain is. It can, even if you know what the building looks like, and you know what the area looks like where you were at, you can picture it. Picture a mud wall. I mean, literally, they would just stack mud. I don't know how they did it, but they were some sturdy walls too. And the walls were probably about a good 4 or 5 inches thick of mud. Just went straight up. So I can just picture what that building looks like because we were over across from it on the bazaar behind the wall, and it was intense that day. Bullets flying. I didn't know it at the time, But my team leader made me believe at that time that I shot my bipod on the front of my saw, which is a small assault machine gun. And if you don't know what it is, you can go look it up. SAW saw. Um, I carried that, and the little feet on the saw for the bipod, because the bipod is attached to it, it flips on there and it flips out. It got shot while we were on the wall. Somehow my team leader, at the time I believed it because my head was going crazy. We just got done with a firefight. A lot of crap was happening. A lot of stuff was going off. So I didn't know that my gun got shot. And I think if that wall wasn't there in front of us, I would have got shot. But I just thank God that I didn't, and I made it home, and I get to go carry the load for my brother, Corporal Turvette, that didn't make it home now. If y'all could say a prayer for his family, because Memorial Day is coming up. And his day of death was actually in February as well. So just keep them in your prayers. That grief never goes away. I thought it did, but for me, while I was writing his tribute for Carry the Load, I had a bunch of emotions just flush, and guilt started coming back. Thinking, why wasn't I the one that was killed? Why was it him? And why couldn't it be me? And I don't know why it wasn't me. I will never know why it wasn't me. I'll never know why it was him. But I believe God still has a reason why all of that, why it wasn't me, didn't happen, why it was him, and all that. I can't explain it, and it just pisses me off because I wish he was still here, so hang out with him, get to visit with him, have him on the podcast, get his story of his pushing to Margaret, like his different view on it. But I can't, and it sucks. But I know one day I'll be able to see him again, and I'll be able to ask him, and I'll be able to chat with him and just, hug him, But I think a lot of veterans just get stuck, and they don't know how to deal with it. And I think going to therapy helps you get unstuck. But we have a bunch of civilian doctors being therapists, and they go to school to help us, which is, I'm grateful for them, and I thank them for going to school, and I thank them for trying to understand us and where we come from. But they're never going to really know our point of view and where we come from and how to actually help us, because they weren't there. they can't say, "Oh yeah, I know what you're going through," when they really don't. So that's why I believe we need more veterans to become therapists. More veterans. Thing to start raining. I just got pooped on or something. If it starts raining, I'll still keep on recording. I'll just record myself walking back to the house, trying to get out of the rain. But hopefully it doesn't ruin my phone too. But hey, it is what it is. Thought I heard some thunder. But I don't think we can get there until we get unstuck from our past traumas, from what we're going through. And I think to get unstuck is we need to relive what we went through. Yeah, it was hard for me to tell you all that story because I can still picture that stuff in my head, and I don't want to keep picturing in my head because who wants to keep seeing body parts everywhere? Nobody. But that's just what I went through, and that's what's going to keep being with me, and I get to choose how it affects me. That memory in my brain, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't say, hey, you're like this because of me. That memory has no thoughts. That memory has no power over me. That memory has no say in my life. That memory, that flashback, it has no power unless I give it that power. Unless I let it keep on controlling me and keeping me stuck in that. In 2010, when that happened, then that's on me. And that's where I think a lot of veterans struggle still because they let their more. So getting unstuck, getting out of Afghanistan, out of Iraq, wherever your brain, wherever your memories, your flashbacks take you, that's where you need to get unstuck from. And what I've come to learn, a lot of that starts with your childhood. Whatever happened to you in your childhood, going to war just intensifies that. So for me, I love my mom, love my dad. You know, had an amazing childhood growing up. I really didn't go through much trauma growing up, but I did, and it's not as bad as some. Uh, but I grew up with a lot of self doubt and not knowing who I was when I was growing up. I was naive. I was the one that said yes to everybody, the one that was just a tag along, that wasn't a leader. Just I was there. Never really had any kind of birds and bees kind of talk. Never had any kind of self worth talk from my parents. Like, never was told I was smart. Never told that I I could do anything that I wanted to do. I just stayed in my bedroom, behind closed doors, isolated, to myself all the time, and that's where my porn addiction came from. I know that, and my sexual trauma came from when I was a child, and Um, didn't know that I had sexual trauma until now. Growing up, and learn that, oh, that's not what's supposed to happen to you when you're a kid. I thought that was friends being friends. Um, so I was stuck in that trauma, didn't know it, and then I thought mentally I was ready to go to boot camp, go to war, go to do all this stuff. I thought I was strong enough to do it, but the mind is so powerful. Like, it changes every day. It's crazy how it grows every day. So, not really growing up into a man going into boot camp, I was still a child. My brain was still developing. And yeah, I was 18, almost 20 back then, but who's really ever, a man at 20 years old? Like, you're still a teenager pretty much. Like, you haven't seen anything that's going to make you a man. You haven't seen anything that defines you as a person. Like, even going to college, that doesn't define you. That's still going to school. Like, and if you go to colleges, they still party. They still act like teenagers. They still, you know, so being in that age group and going to war, your mind's not ready for it. You can say you're ready for it, but your mind really isn't ready. So when you see all that trauma and all that blood and guts and um, war that you go through on top of the childhood trauma, your brain just, I guess it freaks out. Like, I don't know what happens to it. Swells up. This part becomes overpowering more than this part. I don't know the front lobe and the back lobe, the sides, what they're called, but um, I know one part of your brain, when trauma happens to you, it's called fight or flight, and that's what happens to your brain. So, growing up as a childhood, I've never really had that fight or flight experience, um, or that I thought of. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know. So, stack that on top of your childhood, your brain just, I guess, meshes it all up and makes you stuck. So, we just need to learn how to get unstuck. And for me, I think what really helped me was, one, I have to give all the praise and glory to God. I would not be here today if it wasn't for Him. Not just Him saving me, but from my suicidal thoughts, my suicidal attempts, but like, He thought of me. Like, even before my parents did, He was like, hey, this world needs a Jeremy Bradley for some reason. I don't know why. Well, He knows why. I don't know why. But that's why He made me, because He knew this world needed a Jeremy Bradley for some reason. So He's the reason why I'm here. And He's the reason why I woke up this morning, because He could have chose not to put breath in my lungs. He could have chose to take my heartbeat away. He could have chose to kill me in my sleep and bring me home, but He didn't. He chose to give me another day. So I'm going to choose Him, and I'm going to choose to keep on making this podcast, so hopefully it can reach other veterans. And or just other people, whoever watches this, I hope it touches your hearts, and you can see why veterans are the way they are. And veterans, you can see that you don't have to be stuck anymore. You don't have to be in that trauma anymore, especially if you're away from Afghanistan and Iraq. None of that stuff is here. Some of it is, like, we have shootings and stuff like that, but I live in a subdivision. Like, I don't have shootings every day like I did in Afghanistan. I don't have RPGs going over my head like I did in Afghanistan. I don't have people trying to advance on my location like I did in Afghanistan. Um, and that's what I struggled with a lot when I first got out. Is I had thought people were going to try to break in, try to come in and kill me, interfere with my wife, or do things to my wife and make me watch. Just crazy thoughts like that. And that's how powerful the brain is. The brain tries to manipulate you and get you to think this stuff that's going to happen, and it's not. Like, it could happen, maybe like once in a million chances that it could happen, but it's not. And if it does, like, I have the skill sets to defend that person off. So it's not. And plus, I'm protected by God, so God's going to protect us, and He's not going to let nothing bad happen to us. And if it does, if another thing happens to us and that's another trauma, I get to choose if I let that define me or not. So a lot of veterans, I think, are just stuck, and they don't know how to get unstuck. And a lot of civilians make it worse because they're like, well, why can't you fix it? Why can't you do better? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? Blah, 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 blah. Like, because you haven't seen what we've seen. You don't know what we've been through. So for you to say, oh, you just need to get on, go fix yourself, you just need to stop being like that. And I'm going to say screw y'all, sorry. Screw y'all for the ones that tell us to just stop it. Like, that's pretty much what y'all are telling us is stop. Just stop being like that. Like, you're home, you're safe town, just stop being like that. Like, no civilians is going to understand. And y'all just need to give us some peace, some grace, some love, and some time to heal. And stop trying to push us into our healing, because you can't force healing. It just happens when it happens. So, if you're a veteran and you're seeing this, I just want you to know I love you. I want you to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that I have your back. And I want you to know to stop listening to those voices that are telling you to just get unstuck and stop being like who you are. Because you're never going to stop being like that, because that stuff happened to you. And it's not going to go away. You just need to learn how to deal with it and to manage it. And I'm not saying deal with it like suck it up kind of thing. Like, I'm saying deal with it like, for me, the way I deal with it, if I have flashbacks or if I have any kind of thoughts or anything anymore, I just stop. I breathe. And I just let those thoughts happen. And I picture those thoughts. And I just come at peace with those thoughts. And I just let them happen, and just, it's hard to explain. And I just try to feel what's happening to me at that moment. The anxiety, the depression, whatever it is that's happening to me in my body, I try to feel it and tell myself it feels intense at that moment, but nothing's hurting me. Nothing's truly hurting me. No one's truly shooting guns at me anymore. So I don't have to be scared of that past. I don't have to be scared of what I see and those images and those thoughts and those memories, those flashbacks. I don't have to be scared of it because it's not really happening to me anymore. So I get to choose what those memories do to me. You have the choice. You have the power to decide what happens to you. So just get in a group of veterans that know what you're going through and lean on them and talk to them and get your story out there, because that story, those memories, are your key to your healing as well. So just keep on